All right, real quick, guys. Here's your tensioner. Okay. It is located right there. Okay, so real quick, you're gonna take a E12 for these two bolts right here. Here's your basic diagram. There's your tensioner right there. AC compressor, power steering pump, alternator. You don't have to remove the fan shroud. I don't understand why everybody tells you to remove the fan shroud. You can actually also leave this coolant pipe connected, right? So all you gotta do is loosen it with, just take a long 3/8 drive, then take a short wobbly extension. Okay, you're gonna put that on, and then the E12. So then you could reach in, and as you can see, you can remove tension off the belt and unscrew that bolt by hand. So here's our two bolts. They're both going to be E12s. Here's the old tensioner. Here's the new one. Also want to show you, I did notice there's some sort of, maybe it's an old leak, but as you can see right there, there's some sort of, this looks like coolant residue. But literally the tensioner goes right in there. I am also replacing the belt, so it's pretty self-explanatory. You don't have to remove the fan shroud to get the belt out. I don't understand why. I mean, yeah, it's more, it gives you more room, but I'll show you that it's totally doable without, because this is the one, you see how it has a single belt. This isn't the one with like the dual belt setup. On the dual belt setup Sprinters, you have to remove the fan because it has that secondary little belt. To install it, you can go from either the top or the bottom. As you can see, I put it in through the bottom here, and you can actually tighten it this way. Trying to use one hand for filming, so it's not the easiest, but you get the idea. There's one, and then there's one above. Let me see if I can get you guys a better view. There's the first one. There's the second one. As you can see, fan shroud is in place, and the belt we're also going to be removing from above. Okay, so at this point, I'm also waiting for this pulley because it has some play. Leave the belt like this for now. You don't have to connect it fully. Now we're gonna transition over to getting that power steering pump out. Cover the AC compressor electrical connectors with plastic because you're gonna undo that top power steering line right here, which is right here. And when you undo that, you don't want it to leak all over. So make sure that you cover it up so those connectors don't get damaged. They shouldn't, but I like to do that anyway. So now you can loosen it by hand. Once again, it's an 18 millimeter. So it will leak out, so make sure you have a bucket ready.
out the way here.
So while that's draining, next we're gonna remove with a 6mm. I'm gonna remove this top hose right there. I already loosened it, so we can just remove it, and there will be fluid that comes out. Not much, but there will be some. Okay. You could also suction out of here, but there's really no need. There's really no need. So just let that drain out. Take a little while. So as you can see, that's draining. Give it a little while to drain down there. Now we can work on getting this pump out. Pretty straightforward. As you can see, here's the first one we disconnected, the first pipe. Here's the second one for the reservoir. And then over here is our bracket. Right there. So it's the bracket with a bolt right here that we'll have to remove. And then there's going to be one bolt there, one bolt there. So here's your power steering pump directions. Take a screenshot if you'd like. Okay, so here's that bolt number 7 that we're going to be working on next, and then there's one bolt here, one bolt here. Okay, so let me show you what I do. I use the extension, actually 2 little extensions, to get that bolt out. Let me see if I can get you a good viewpoint. Right there, that's how you have to go in. Do you see that Torx? It's an E12 right there. That's how I remove it. Afterwards, once I get it loose, what I like to use is a little 3/8 stubby to get the bolt out the rest of the way. Pretty easy. And then we're gonna next work on these little plastic lines. I think they're just vacuum hoses, but we have to unclip them from the reservoir, as you can see here and there. All right, so next you're gonna remove these 2 Torx bolts that hold the washer reservoir in place. There's going to be 2 here. You can move this wire out the way, lift it, and set it over there. If you're going to pull the power steering pump out this way, loosen these, remove these clamps. They're just little tabs right there. Just a little tab. These come out. Just don't pull on them hard because they are brittle and they can break. As you can see, I'm removing the 2 bolts at the front. They're also E12s. There you go. That's loose. You can get them out by hand, and then we can remove the power steering pump. Okay, so here's our power steering pump that we're removing now. It's a little hard to do it with one hand, so if you don't mind, you got to remove that connector right there, and then afterwards I can remove it. I'll show you. So these little clips, they just transfer over from here. You just press this tab right here, press here, and then it'll actually unclip. And the way they clip on is simply by sliding it on like that. So this is pretty much ready to go back on. One thing I'm going to do first is use some brake cleaner and clean off the area from any power steering fluid before reinstalling it back in here. By the way, this connector here, make sure to clean it with electrical cleaner. And the way it works is this little white tab pulls out just like this, and then you press here and it pulls straight back. So you see how it has a little right there. See that movement? So that white piece pulls out, and then you press down on the white piece and you can get that out without breaking it, because a lot of people just yank on these and they break them. To clean it, you can use this QD contact cleaner. Works great and dries very quickly. Pay attention, there is an O-ring, as you could see, on this high pressure hose for the power steering pump. It only comes with the line, so unfortunately you can't really replace it unless you just try to match it up. But I don't like matching these things up, because sometimes if you match it up not correctly, it will potentially leak. So alright guys, so that's pretty much it. New pump is in. I just want to show you one more time the bolts, how they attach. As you can see, there's the bolt for the bracket on the side right there, if it'll focus. Here's our connector. Okay, connector goes in one way. You can only put it in one way. And then on this side, you get your two bolts. They're Torx E12s. Little side view. Here's our high pressure line. It's an 18 millimeter. Do not over torque this. It literally has to be hand tight. And then this guy, don't over torque this either. It's plastic. Little 6 millimeter and 18 millimeter. Now you're going to want to fill it up with power steering fluid and bleed the system by turning the wheel lock to lock after we put the new belt on. So also replacing the pulley here. This one's completely shot inside. It's making bearing noise and there's a lot of play in it. So replacing that one with this one. Very simple, it goes right there. Right there, as you can see. The original is a E14 and the new one is going to be a 15 millimeter bolt. But they're the same size. So no problems at all. So if you can tell, there's a filter inside the reservoir, which you can only replace by replacing the reservoir. So just FYI, it's a good idea to do that.